So you guys noticed that yesterday. Also, guys, do note this is going to YouTube. Everyone in chat, behave and say hi to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Fox VTuber from the Philippines, from Twitch again. Okay, obligatory YouTube greeting from Twitch streamer accomplished. Onto the topic. Right. So recently, Spider-Man 2 got announced. Sorry, not announced. It did release. It did release on PC after the most baffling marketing strategy I've ever seen. All right? Okay, what do I mean by that? Okay. You guys will remember that on the lead up to FF7 Rebirth's release on PC, both Sony but mostly Square Enix was marketing the hell out of that game. They were releasing videos, they were releasing trailers, all that stuff to hype up FF7 Rebirth. Meanwhile, during the lead up to Spider-Man 2's release on PC, nothing from Insomniac Games. Like, the one tweet they had was to like, hey, hope you guys are excited. We are releasing Spider-Man 2 on PC in a few weeks. And then on every week, there's just radio silence. And then on the day it releases, and the funny thing is, on Steam, there wasn't even a pre-order. No system requirements either. You could only wishlist it, but you couldn't go to the store page, check the you couldn't check the system requirements, you couldn't pre-order, nothing. Just a page for it. And even days before its release, there wasn't a price, there wasn't PC requirements, nothing. On the day itself, that's the only time people could buy and find out if they can even run it or not. Which sucks. Which is why it's one of the most baffling marketing strategies for a game releasing on PC. It's very, very weird. I don't know if it's on Insomniac or on Sony, but I'm pinning this on Sony. Because I think Square Enix, ever since they announced that they are aggressively pursuing multi-platform strategies, they essentially said, okay, bye Sony, I'm gonna do my own thing. And they marketed the hell out of FF7 Rebirth. They opened pre-orders at a 30% off discount for early bird purchasing, yada yada yada. Meanwhile, Insomniac couldn't do anything because Sony, they are still wrapped around Sony's finger. That is what I'm going to assume, because that is the only thing, plausibly, that I can assume. And to say it's available worldwide, yeah, that's another thing. And this is where the rabbit hole really goes, because here's the thing. Ever since Helldivers 2, this has been a very contentious topic, right? Now, a lot of the Sony and console player base has called PC players very entitled when we refuse to link our Steam accounts with PSN for Helldivers 2. And I'll be the mediator, middle fox here. That is a fair argument, okay? We have what? Battle.net, EA Play, Ubisoft Connect, Epic Games. Yeah, that is a fair argument. But here is where that argument falls apart. At least those clients, at least Ubisoft Connect, Battle.net, EA Play, etc., they support practically every country in the world. And even if they don't, you can still play their games on their platform, okay? Okay, look, theoretical, guys. Okay, let's assume that we are from Wakanda, okay? Let's assume that we are from Wakanda and we want to play Helldivers 2. And this is a timeline where Sony is not greedy in a bad way, right? So we sign in our PSN account, but we don't have, Wakanda doesn't have PSN. We don't. So instead, we use an area that is close. So we pick South Africa, perhaps. And then, okay, we can, even if we have to use our credit card or buy South Africa PSN cards, at least we can play their games. Like, all right, cool. Awesome. I can still play their games. Right now, we can't do that, though. These accounts like Battle.net, Ubisoft, EA, they support all regions. And even if your specific country is not part of it, there are usually like legal ways to still be able to subscribe or be catered to by said client, right? By these account clients like Battle.net, Ubisoft Play, Connect, EA, whatever, okay? At the very least, you can. And even if your country is not listed, usually they're like, hey, if you have internet connection, you can play our multiplayer games. If you want to play our single player games, that is totally okay. We just want your money. But Sony, in their infinite wisdom, is like, we only support these countries. You're not part of it. Get the fuck out of here. I'm like, wait, you're bringing back an old thing from like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 era of region locking. Remember these funny words, guys? Remember NTSC, PAL, that kind of thing? Oh my god. This was a thing around PS2, PS1 era. But we've long been past that. Because I remember when I bought a horror game for PS3 that I could not find here in the Philippines. I bought it from Japan. I played it on a PlayStation I got from the Philippines, which I think is either the Hong Kong version or the US version. I was able to play it because my mind was blown. I discovered there's no region locking for games anymore. There is region locking for accounts for some DLCs, right? Like, if your game was bought in Hong Kong, usually you have to get the Hong Kong DLC. Like, okay, yeah, I get it, because game versions are slightly different, so the DLC version has to match. All right, got it. But the fact that I could buy the game and at least, like, I can't find the game here. I cannot buy the game here because it was never localized outside of Japan. But I like this game. Yoko, you don't understand Japanese. I press buttons. I barely read. I know what I'm getting into. I still want to play it because it looks interesting. I just want to play the damn game. At least I can. And you're telling me in 2024, 2025, of the bad things that we had back in like the 90s, the 2000s, you're telling me region locking is back? You're really telling me that region locking is back? Why? There is no good reason for region locking. And Gaben already said that piracy is not a pricing issue. It's a production/distribution issue. Because even though people would argue, well, your har will get it for free, they can't beat that. Yes, they can. Do you really think people are paying for games on Steam, Epic, GameStop, whatever, because they have the money? No, because it's convenient. Like, yeah, sure. Regardless if it's full price on day one, half off, 30% off, that's not the point. The point is it's very convenient. I get the game on Steam, I press that button that says install, I wait for a couple of minutes or an hour because Southeast Asian internet is a freaking joke, and then I'm done. Awesome. But that's not the case if you pirate games. I'm not gonna go into detail, but you guys know that. you guys know of like the problems with pirated games. You're not sure if it's a freaking malware. And usually, remember, PC games, one of the biggest reasons why you'd like to buy a game on PC is mods. And most modding communities, because they actually know how to police themselves, most mods do not support pirated copies. That's usually the major caveat, which is good. But now, these 170 plus countries have no choice but to sail the seven seas if they want to play Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, Ghost of Tsushima, freaking Marvel Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok. The list goes on. Literally, the list just keeps going on. And that BS excuse of player safety and everything, I'm like, what safety? That's corporate speak. Like, how is linking my PSN account to play a game on Steam safe? How? It isn't because of safety reasons. No, they're just after those MAUs, monthly active users. That's what they are after. Because it looks good for the shareholders. That's the real reason why. Let's be real. That is the real reason why. Because you don't see Epic, or at least I think I don't. You don't see Epic saying like the reason why we're not releasing this on Steam is for safety reasons. No, it's very clear why. It's their game and they want to be able to dictate like pricing, because that's usually the case. Like, again, in today's day and age, some people do not understand why the hell would I buy a game on Steam? Why the hell would I buy a game on Epic over the other? Very, very simple. Here's the thing. Epic. And again, it's a very personal thing. All right, personal preference, personal views, whatever. Here's the thing. Steam is not afraid because it's totally legal. They're not afraid of saying this, all right? Steam gets around 30% cut, I believe. 30% cut from the revenue. 70% goes to the publishers, and it's up to the publishers how much their developers get, their distribution, production teams, whatever. That's up to them. Meanwhile, Epic gets 10%, while the publishers get 90%. So you're wondering, then why the hell would I buy? Okay, but I'm a consumer. I'm not the one who developed or published these games. Why should I care? Okay, here's the thing. Steam generally has better user interface, better quality of life features, and their sales are more frequent. Okay? Like, for example, family sharing, controller support, their UI is not a buggy mess. If you want to mess around with the settings, they're very easy to find. But with Epic, you kind of have to do a little digging around. There is no family sharing, so if you want to share a game with your friend or your family members, no, they gotta buy it again on a different account, or you all have to share accounts, and that's another headache to deal with. So oh wow, that looks cool. So why the hell would I buy on Epic then? Here's the problem. Some games are only on Epic, like Alan Wake 2, for example. And again, the reason why is because these publishers want the most amount of revenue, which again is completely understandable. Even though you lose out on a lot of sales, thank you, Elmo, for the hydrate. Even though you miss out on a lot of sales for not releasing your game on Steam, which is the largest PC player base, you just, the 90% is big compared to getting 70% of the revenue. And of course, Epic literally gives games for free every holiday. Holiday season around December. Like, I remember one time where one of the biggest games they gave away was freaking Death Stranding. Alright? Yeah, the game that people keep calling a walking simulator, which is partially true. Which is freaking big. which is freaking big. And that too, yeah, choice. Maybe you just prefer. Maybe you just prefer Epic over Steam or whatever. It's fine. But again, there always is a pro and con. Steam is not perfect. Epic is not perfect. It's either there's no money for them to do it or they don't want to. Yeah, probably. But either way, it just fails. I fail to see. I fail to see why Epic can do it. Steam can do it. Literally every other company can do it. Even Nintendo. Even if your country is not listed, you're not exactly locked from playing these games if you can buy it. But with PlayStation, you can't even buy it. And I completely blame the PSN login requirement. And it's funny that recently they announced we are not going to require people to log in their PSN account anymore for our games, but we're gonna give you guys freebies for doing so. Have you guys, is it still, yeah, okay, it's still region locked. It's still freaking region locked. Microsoft Store, PC Game Pass, also no region lock. Yeah, there's also no region lock for that. Like, again, other companies are doing the same thing. I fail to see how Sony cannot do the same thing. And I actually think there is one reason. There's one funny reason why I think why they really can't. All their funding for what, I don't know how much it would have cost them to make PSN available for 170 plus countries. But I think whatever funding they would have needed for that, would you guys like to guess where that went? It went to their stupidly ambitious live service project. Why do I call it stupidly ambitious? Do not forget that several years ago, Sony had this stupidly ambitious project of like, we are going to release a live service game every year. And of course, they had to tell their shareholders that like, this is our projected revenue, so that, you know, the shareholders are like, all right, sure, we'll dump our money on these projects. Yeah, sure. We want money. We want more money. All of those have gone to hell. All. Literally all. The fact that a God of War live service was canceled recently, and I'm like, first off, God of War live service? Doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And number two, thank God of War. Number three, how far into development was this? Either way, money was lost. And that's one project. That is one project. The Horizon, I think 2 Horizon related projects were also canceled. And then an Insomniac, I forget which development company, but basically I believe Bluepoint, was it? I'll check later. The game dev company in charge of remastering Demon's Souls, which was a really good remaster for PS5, they were tasked to making a live service. That's gone as well. And we got one announcement for Fair Game $. Is it Fair Games or Fair Game $? I'm just gonna call it Fair Game $, because it's funny. We haven't heard news about that ever since its announcement reveal, like, here's a new game, guys, and then nada. And mind you guys, I'm following PlayStation just to I'm following PlayStation on Twitter just so that whenever, if, which is not a very likely if and when they announce, okay guys, fine, we'll make these games available, no more region locking, I'll be like, I fucking told you so, you guys are so fucking late, but thank you. I'm just waiting for that day to come. But till then, I'm like, where, you guys announced fair game $ a couple of months, a year back? Nothing. What's going on with that? Naughty Dog remaking The Last of Us for the 15th time? Yeah, that too. While waiting for you, but yeah, like, it's really baffling how Sony, like I said before and I'll say it again, Sony is being greedy in a very bad way. Why did I word it that way? Because look, Nintendo and Microsoft Xbox are both greedy. In the right way. Can you really be greedy in the right way? I know it sounds dark, okay? I know it sounds dark, but you actually can, okay? You actually can. You look at what Xbox and Microsoft is doing right now. It's very clear the direction they're taking right now with Xbox, Microsoft. They cannot out-console Sony and Nintendo. So what will they do instead? Software sales. What do I mean by that? They're prioritizing Xbox, Microsoft Game Pass, which definitely is like they are hoisting it as their primary source of revenue. And to be fair, it's a very attractive service product to sell for gamers because people really actually do love Xbox Microsoft Game Pass because it's a very affordable, inexpensive alternative to actually buying games, especially if you game a lot every month. There are a lot of AAA, non-AAA games that you can get on day one for free as long as you have an Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Microsoft Game Pass on PC or on Xbox. And recently, there are rumors or leaks that the Gears of War trilogy is getting a remaster and it will also be ported to PS. Gears of War trilogy is getting a remaster and it will be launched on PS5 as well. And I'm like, wow, they are really going in on those software sales, which again is great. Like I said, this is the greediness of Xbox and Microsoft. They want everyone to buy their games. That is one aspect because remember, gaming requires two key components: your platform and your games. For the longest time, the big three, which is Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft / Xbox, has always relied on a delicate balance. You must have an appealing, attractive console, but you must also have a robust library of games. You need both. All right? You need both. Nowadays, because of how PC gaming has evolved and has become the new standard, and no, I do not believe that PC was actually playing catch up to console. That is a freaking joke and a meme. Because PC is arguably, objectively, the best way to experience a game, hands down. You look at the trailer for FF7 Rebirth on PC. What is one of the first things you will see? I called it. I was a freaking mind reader. I saw into the future. Right. All of the things that a PS5 cannot do. That was one of the first things that they showed in the trailer, right? Everything a PS5 cannot do, you can only do on PC. That was like, yep. That's PC versus console gaming in a nutshell. But really good PCs are not exactly affordable and they are bulky. Yes, bulkier than an Xbox, a PS5, and definitely bulkier than a Switch. I will concede that. But like I said, everything has a pro and con. For Xbox, their library of games is available on so many platforms. You have less reasons to buy like I said, I'll repeat that. Their library of games are spread across the market, available on so many platforms. You have very little reason to buy an Xbox. So they accept that, right? They accept that, and they're like, okay, we'll prioritize maybe controllers, console or PC accessories, but our main priority now is the Game Pass and games. Meanwhile, on the other spectrum, Nintendo knows that their console will always be the least powerful one, right? Graphics wise and performance wise, it will not be the strongest on the market, hands down. Never, okay? They have accepted that. But what's the benefit of that, Yoko? The price. The price of a Nintendo console has always been the lowest compared to their two other competitors. Compared to a PlayStation, compared to an Xbox, a Nintendo anything is always a lot more affordable. How much did the Switch retail for on launch? $300. How much did the PlayStation 4 and Xbox Series release on launch? I believe it was about $400 to $500, depending on your local retailer. Double, triple that from a scalper. So yeah, like I said, Nintendo knows that. They accepted that. We cannot outpower a PlayStation. We cannot out graphics an Xbox. But you know what? We can outprice them. And that's usually like the breaking point for a lot of people. Like, I can afford a Nintendo Switch. Now remember what I said earlier. Components. There are two key components. You need a console, an attractive console, and a robust library of games. What's the attractive part of a Nintendo console? The price. Not only does it really look nice, the price. It's always the lowest and most cost-efficient, most affordable console on the market. Always is. And of course, portability. You cannot beat the Nintendo Switch in portability. Never. Alright? Argument, Steam Deck and ROG Ally. Yes, but they are portable consoles. They're not consoles. They're portable consoles. Now here's the thing. Nintendo also has a robust library. If I say Mario, which one? Sports Mario? Mario Party? Smash Bros. Ultimate? Mario platforming? 2D Mario? RPG Mario? A lot of Mario games. Oh yeah? Oh, what else other than that? Oh, I don't know. Legend of Zelda? Freaking the most lucrative IP on this freaking planet till this day. Pocket Monster freaking Pokemon. Despite Scarlet Violet being a mess, it was the biggest Pokemon launch title to date based on sales alone. Okay? Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Fire Emblem, Kirby. It keeps going. The list just keeps going. There are no shortages of titles for you to play on a Nintendo Switch. There really isn't. That's why I say Sony is being greedy in a bad way. Where does Nintendo focus their sales on? Hardware. They know that their console will never be as powerful as a PlayStation or an Xbox or a PC. So they'll just make it the most affordable one on the market. And they are confident, hello Rain, they are confident in their library of games that it will help sales for said console. Let's move on to Xbox. Xbox, they know that they cannot out-console Sony, Switch, and a PC. Right? They know that they cannot because at this point, they have released their games on every platform that people have less reasons to buy an Xbox. So, they have instead, alright, if we cannot convince people to buy an Xbox, maybe we can convince them to get Game Pass instead. Let's focus on software sales. That's their focus. Sony is trying to do both. without like compromising the other. Literally every brand right now has a compromise. What is Xbox's compromise? No one's gonna buy an Xbox. Realistically, no one will buy Xbox, but they'll buy a Game Pass. What is Nintendo's compromise? They know that if people want to play Mario, if they want to play Legend of Zelda, Smash, Metroid, they know that they must buy a Switch. That's their compromise. They know that they lose on a large market of PC gamers because they are never going to release Nintendo games outside of a Nintendo console. However, what's their compromise? They made their console a lot more affordable than their competition. That is their compromise. Sure, we're not like making insane numbers per sale, but we are making numbers in sales. You get that? We're not making big bank on every purchase, but we are making a lot of purchases with a decent price point. 300 USD for a Nintendo Switch on launch, and a lot of that is going to sale. Instead of selling a lot of $500 consoles, we are going to sell a hell of a lot of $300 consoles. I still remember the metric. The number, and again, to be fair, it's because it was a launch title. The sales for Legend of Zelda, the sales for Breath of the Wild matches the sales for the Nintendo Switch. Granted, it was practically the only game you could play on launch, but oh my god, what a game you could play on launch. Freaking Breath of the Wild. Nintendo did the right thing. Like, we need a really, really good game to showcase the power of the Switch and the flexibility of its portability and, the Joy-Cons and whatnot. Why not Breath of the Wild? Really smart fucking decision. That's their compromise, right? That is their compromise. Nintendo knows that they must sell if they want to convince people to play their games on their console. Their console must be appealing, not just in performance, not just in aesthetic, but price. Price is very important. Now, Sony does not want to compromise at all. That is what I mean by them being greedy in a bad way. They want people to buy a PlayStation, but they also want people to buy their games. And this is where, why would I buy a PlayStation when I can afford a Nintendo Switch better? Why should I buy Last of Us 2 remastered again when I can just wait for a few months for it to release on PC or Xbox? And it will run better on my PC. Right? You cannot say, I'll just wait for Fire Emblem to release on PC. It's never going to happen. It never is going to happen. Never. Right? Like, we'll probably be in space or Mars or whatever, and Nintendo will still be like, nope, you gotta buy a Nintendo console to play Nintendo games. They won't budge. They really won't budge. So, people have a reason. People have a reason to buy a Nintendo console. Okay. Now, for Xbox, why the hell would I buy an Xbox if, I can play their games on every platform? Oh, right, because I can play their game on every platform. See, there's that compromise. I need to buy a Nintendo Switch to buy a Nintendo game. But hey, at least the Nintendo Switch is very affordable. I don't need to buy an Xbox because, hey, I just need a Game Pass. I just need a Microsoft Xbox Game Pass and a platform to play it on. Awesome. Sony wants the benefits that Nintendo provides and also Microsoft provides without compromising. They want people to buy their console and they want people to buy their games without compromise. Nah. Now, to further elaborate on that, here's the thing. This would not be a problem if they just never won. They never ported any of their titles to PC. Or if they ported their titles to PC without one, time gating them, and number two, region locking them. If they were as greedy as Nintendo and never released, Death Stranding, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, if they never released that outside of PlayStation, people would generally be happy. They'd still be tempted to I need to get a PlayStation just so I can play this one game, one or three games that I want to play. But now, people will just wait. And they will wait begrudgingly too. That is why Square Enix saw this and they're like, fuck it, we'll do my own thing. Their sales for FF16 and FF7 Rebirth were far from their expectations in a bad way. Because it was a PlayStation exclusive. They did not like that, so they're like, okay, fuck it. We are releasing this the way we want to, even if it means we lose Sony funding, and if we have to cop the costs for publishing it and whatever, we'll do it ourselves. If it means we can launch it on Steam, Epic, Xbox, and PlayStation on day one, we'll fucking do it. Sure. Because again, PlayStation games normally have at least a 12-month exclusive contract. So, for example, FF7 Rebirth released last year around March. The earliest we should have gotten it was March this year. We got it January. That has never happened before. A Sony game that is exclusive to PlayStation, usually the earliest you'll get it is a year. Even Death Stranding took at a little over a year to hit Steam and Epic PC, basically. Like clockwork, every single game on PlayStation you had to wait at least a year. FF7 Rebirth, to my memory, to my knowledge, is the first one to break that rule. So now you piss off both. Usually you piss off both sides, where those who bought a PlayStation to buy FF7 Rebirth are like, why didn't I just save $500 to $600? Wait for 8 months and I can play this damn game on my PC. Okay, that's the PlayStation side. Like the ones who bought the PlayStation. For the ones who were on PC the whole time, I can't believe I had to avoid discussion, discourse, social media for 8 months to avoid spoilers for this game I wanted to play because Sony said, y'all have to wait for 8 months, 12 months. You still piss off the PC player base. So again, Sony being greedy in a very bad way. And again, it's really bafflingly hilarious and infuriating at the same time how their competitors know this and they're like, nope, we'll compromise. They at least want to compromise. And it's almost schadenfreude at this point. Just seeing all these news about their live service projects being canceled left and right. But at the same time, I also feel bad for these development teams and whatnot because they're being laid off, absorbed, or just thrown out to the street, left to fend for themselves. Like, Jesus Christ. And all because corporate said, we're going to do live service games. This is like the final straw for me. Like, I'm going to say, this is why I made an entire segment just for this. This is my final straw. I'm announcing it here right now in this room. This is my final straw with Sony. Because, again, Xbox made it clear, whatever games they publish, it's going to be on all platforms. So, for example, For example, right? The Gears of War trilogy, their new Perfect Dark game, that's going to be on all platforms. So, okay, I'm not console locked out of those. As for Nintendo, Nintendo is always the most affordable console, so I can afford one. As for PlayStation, they made it very clear. If it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive, it will be on PC after a couple of months. Because we want money. But we also do not want to compromise. And this is my final straw, really, with how they are treating the whole PSN region locking kerfuffle. I'm out. I am not buying a PlayStation console to play their games. I'm going to find legal ways because I can. I'm going to find legal ways to buy these games on PC. I'm not buying a PlayStation console ever again. Simple as that. I don't see a change in their stance. I really don't. I really think they do not want to compromise at all. They do not want to make PSN accounts for 170 countries. So that if they are willing to bend the knee, and you know what, fine. I made a Battle.net account. I made an Epic Games account. I made a Ubisoft account. I can make a PSN account. Even if you wanted to and are willing to do that, if your country is not part of PSN, you're shit out of luck.